Welcome to the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill Weekend Wrap, where we highlight a few of the storylines that occurred in sprint car racing across the country over the weekend. Before we get to the racing, don't forget to check out Moose's LZ Bar and Grill for great food at a great price. You won't regret it. We're going to start at Huset Speedway on Sunday night, where Parker Price Miller put together an emotional performance in getting the win over a couple of invaders and the locals in the season opener at the Speedway. There was a point where Parker Price Miller didn't know if he would be behind the wheel of a sprint car ever again. He was diagnosed in October with B-cell lymphoma, and since then has been fighting through chemotherapy and the emotion of dealing with such an illness. He's not only dealt with it, he's succeeded. So far this year, he's been pretty good in All-Star Circuit of Champions competition. He's the only driver to finish in the top 10 of all 9-point races so far this season. He's shown speed, he's qualified well, and as I said, he's put together consistent runs to land in the top 5 in points, despite dealing with all the things outside of racing. This is a pretty inspirational for anybody who's going through this disease to look at Miller and see how Price Miller and see how he's dealing with this and coming through on the other end. Now, there's a long season to go, but this team has shown speed. The McGee Motorsports team has always been shown speed, did last year with Spencer Baston in the car and also with Ian Madsen. And Price Miller is delivering the same type of performances. It's going to be interesting to see how this team progresses and how Price Miller progresses the rest of 2022. I think everybody in sprint car racing is probably rooting for him. We're going to shift gears to Carson Macedo, who seems to always be on this list or on this list more than any other driver in the country lately with his performance with the World of Outlaws. This week, the World of Outlaws got washed out at Eldora, so he hightailed it over to Knoxville Raceway and was able to get the win in a local show that also featured pretty many invaders and what turned out to be a pretty good field overall. This comes as no surprise that he won at Knoxville. Not only is he good there, but Philip Dietz always seems to have the number 41 pretty sporty around the Marion County Fairgrounds, something they've both shown in previous seasons. Watching Macedo compete and how well he looked at Knoxville on Saturday night got me thinking about what I've said in previous weeks, either on the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast or here on the Moose's LZ Weekend Wrap. Look, Macedo can win the most races with the World of Outlaws this season. He's done nothing to change my opinion. And after watching him again on Saturday, the way he looked on the low side of the Speedway, I think he can challenge for the Knoxville Nationals. I think he joins the list with the likes of Kyle Larson if he shows up. Brad Sweet is always a threat there. David Gravel, we all know how good he is at Knoxville. Logan Schuhart's shown speed there in the past. And Donnie Schatz, I don't care what his season looks like. He goes to Knoxville, and he's a contender. So add Macedo to that list, and this is just going to make the August extravaganza that much better, that much more competitive, and fans can be treated to to the 41 sitting in victory lane again at the Nationals. We're going to do something in our third highlight, we're going to talk about rain, which is something we normally don't do, but there was so much of it last weekend. It washed out everything in central Pennsylvania, washed out everything in Ohio, and left people just with basically Knoxville and the West Coast on Saturday night, and not much for race fans to do if you didn't have Dirt Vision or Flow. That being said, the Outlaws are coming. Normally we have the World of Outlaw tune-ups before they get here, again, washed out. But the Outlaws get here on Wednesday to Lincoln Speedway before heading to Williams Grove Speedway for Friday, Saturday, and then New Jersey's Bridgeport Speedway next Tuesday. The locals have get a little bit behind the Outlaws as of late. They've only won one of the last 10 shows at Williams Grove Speedway. They've also been beaten at Lincoln Speedway the last 2 years, albeit Brent Marks probably should have won at Lincoln last year, but Danny Dietrich was getting lapped, spun, held Marks up. Brad Sweet takes the win. Still, Outlaw victory, and Logan Schuchart capped things off winning at Bridgeport Motorsports Park. So basically, the locals have a lot to atone for of late, and that puts all the pressure on guys like Danny Dietrich, Lance Deweese, Brent Marks, and Anthony Macri. Dietrich, especially at Lincoln, has won 4 shows at the Abbottstown Oval this year and will be probably the local favorite to beat the Travelers on Wednesday. Anthony Macri also trying to make an impression. He leads the country in wins with 8, hasn't beat the Outlaws yet. Running the top 5 in the past, ran in the top 5 at Lincoln. He's running the top 5 at the Grove, but he really wants to solidify himself as one of the top drivers and teams in the country by beating the Outlaws on his home turf. Lance Deweese, always a factor when the Outlaws come to town. And Brent Marks, he's good everywhere. He's won at Lincoln. He's won at Williams Grove. He won the Summer Nationals last year, beat the Outlaws, and should have won at Bridgeport earlier this year, but had broke on the last lap. He's also beaten the Outlaws this year at Devil's Bowl in a dominating performance. On the Outlaw side, we have Carson Macedo, who won twice at Williams Grove last year, including the National Open. Logan Schuchart also looked good last year at the National Open, albeit not always really good at the Grove. He's also run well at Lincoln in outlaw races. Brad Sweet, we said earlier, won at Lincoln last year, has not been good at the Grove. You always got to watch out for Donnie Schatz. He's won at Lincoln, not his favorite track, but still he's won there. And Williams Grove, obviously a place that he loves and has had a lot of success at in the past. And he needs a really good finish because he only has 2 top 5s in his last 13 World of Outlaws starts. It's going to be good, so stay tuned. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill Weekend Wrap. For more coverage, exclusive coverage, I should say, of sprint car racing, head over to sprintcarunlimited.com. Yearly subscription's only $35. For 6 months, it's $30, $18 for 3 months. Obviously, the year subscription's the best deal. And we'll be back next week with another edition of the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill Weekend Wrap.